Hey guys, if you are here to learn how to tie more purple flies. On today's episode, we are going to tie the purple squirmy wormy and the purple woolly bugger. So, let's start with the squirmy wormy and we're going to get to the materials. So, I don't have the packaging for the hook, but I just need you to trust me that it is a size 10 TMC 2457. It's the thicker hook. I've been having some laying around, hanging around, and they're just not in the packaging anymore. For a bead on this size 10, we are going to be using a 5/32 tungsten gold bead. For our thread, and I got a new fancy bobbin, and it works great, by the way. We are going to be using Perfect Hatch 6/0 purple thread. For the worm itself, we are going to be using Casters Squirmito, the original Squiggly worm material in violet. And this doesn't have the label on it anymore, but we are going to wrap it in dubbing. And this is UV2, some sort of like purple laser sparkle dub. And I did that because, you know, if you're tying a junk fly, might as well have some cool sparkly stuff with it. So, let's get to tying the squirmy worm. Alright guys, we have our TMC 2457 in a size 10 on the vise. Oh, some fibers there. With our 5/32 tungsten bead. And we're gonna wrap some thread on the hook. I really like this new bobbin. I really like it a lot. And then we're gonna cut off our excess. Alright, and then we're gonna wrap all the way past the bend of the hook just to cover it up some. And then go back. Okay. So, this next step, I put the dubbing on first. And I put the dubbing on first because it gives more surface area. If you've been watching my channel for a hot minute, you may have seen me tie my red squirmy wormy and saw me do the same thing. But the importance of this and doing this is to show you what materials I used for the purple. So you can use your own purple materials and tie your own purple flies. So I put some dubbing on it. And then I have my squirmy wormy material. It comes in this length, but I cut it in half because that's a good length. And then find about center point and do a super loose wrap. And I say super loose because, man, this thing doesn't want to stay on the hook at all. But there we go. I got it on the hook. It's on the top of the hook. And then we hold the other section just to get it to lay relatively flat. Just like that. Boom. And I just have enough dubbing. And then we do some wraps in front of it. We take our whip finish tool, do 4 wraps, move the squirmy wormy back on top. Cut off the thread, and it's as easy as pie. That's it. Some people put their squirmy wormy through the bead, but I don't know how this is going to work with this one. I had hard enough time jamming that 5/32 on that hook. But that's it. Simple squirmy wormy, but effective. Caught a couple trout during this series. So there we go. On to the woolly bugger. All right, guys. All the materials are listed down below. I just want to remind you of that because with the woolly bugger, there are quite a bit of materials. So we're going to start with the hook. I used a Fulling Mill FM 5130. This is in a size 10. It is a jig hook. And to complement that, I used a silver tungsten 5/32 jig bead. Now, for the challenge, I tied 2 different chenilles. The one we're going to be using today is this crystal chenille. from Perfect Hatch, I think it just looks awesome. But in trying to find other chenille, I found Fly Shack Crystal Antron chenille in that color purple. I don't like it as much, but you know, trout don't really care, I don't think. So for our tail, we're using Hairline Maribou Blood Quills in purple. To add a little flash to the tail, we got Fly Shack Crystal Mirror Flash right there. And then to wrap it all together, we are using Fly Shack Saddle Hackle. It's a Strung Saddle Hackle in purple. And then to keep the saddle hackle on the fly, we are using 0.2 millimeter Semperfli in silver. All right, guys, this is gonna be a long one, but let's get to time. All right, guys, I have my fulling mill barbless jig streamer hook in the vise with a 5/32 silver tungsten bead. I forgot to mention that we're using Perfect Hatch 6/0. I used it for every single fly, even the dry flies. I am not going to do anything to the head of the jig and the bead until the end, because most of the material just does it by itself. So I'm gonna wrap on the thread, and then I'm gonna head down. I'm gonna head down all the way until the very end where I want the Maribou to begin. And so I stripped the Maribou of a lot of the fuzzy stuff, and we just have the stem left. I'm gonna use my fingers and wet them down because it makes it way more manageable to tie this in. And then I'm gonna double it. So I'm gonna measure out what one hook length is, and then two. And I'm gonna pinch it right there, and I'm gonna tie on the thread. I'm gonna go down a little bit, right? And then to build the body, even though it's kind of annoying, we're gonna do the same thing kind of like with the Squirmy Worm. We're gonna use one hand to just keep it straight, and we're gonna tie all the way up the hook, slowly but surely, until we get right to the bead. I'm not gonna leave any room. Well, maybe a little room, but we're gonna get it right all the way up to the bead. Okay. Now that we are there, I'm gonna snip it off. Okay. Now, I'm gonna run this back down almost to where I ended. I'm gonna grab my, I don't know, put like a couple pieces of crystal flash on it, but I'm gonna take my first piece of crystal flash. This is cut in half, and then you fold it, and then it becomes in quarters. And I line up the ends, and I'm gonna put one crystal flash on my side, and then I'm gonna take the other crystal flash and do the same thing, double it up, match up the ends, and put it on the far side. Okay, and then I'm gonna just string these back and cut all the crystal flash to the length of the end of the fly. All right, and we're going to take our 0.2 millimeter wire, and we are going to tie this on the back end of this. I want it on the far side, because I find that I can catch the hackle a lot better when I tie it on the far side. We are going to take our chenille, and because it's so synthetic, ripping off the ends and doing all that kind of stuff turns out to be a real pain. And actually, it kind of like stretches the fibers. So we're just going to tie in the end with the fibers. It all gets covered up. It all gets covered up. And then we're gonna go all the way back to the bead. I'm gonna throw in a whip finish here. And then I'm going to use my bobbin holder, which is a little low, but that's okay. There we go. And then I'm going to take my chenille and I'm just going to start wrapping. Okay. I'm going to leave myself a little room. That's too much room. One more. Okay. A little room. I'm going to behind, over, twice. And then I'm gonna cut it off. Okay, so we are almost done. The next thing we're gonna do, let me get this out of the way, guys. I didn't even know. We have our saddle hackle. And I'm gonna tie this sucker in, curve down so the hackle fibers will go back. A little excess stem there. Okay. So I'm going to do a whip finish. Put those fibers out of there. And then I am going to do one full wrap around the head. And then start wrapping backwards. Okay. Now I get to the back. I find my wire. I pinch the hackle and then just same amount of wraps back to the front. And I find that when I do it that way, it really doesn't capture a lot of the fibers. If I do it where like I do less wraps or I do more wraps, then I'll catch fibers under the wire. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to helicopter the wire, and then I'm going to cut off the saddle hackle. And then a couple more wraps. I'm going to whip finish this guy. And then I'm going to cut off my thread. Put that guy on. There we go. Nice, purple, flashy, woolly bugger. Now, this saddle is probably a little too much. This saddle hackle is probably a little too much. Maybe not. But like the saddle hackle I got was just like all different sizes and all different qualities and all different things. So, if this is the best I get, I mean, I think it'll still catch fish. But anyway, guys, purple woolly bugger. So guys, that's how to tie those two. The next couple weeks episode, we start tying dry flies. We have the purple haze, we have the purple caddis, and we have a purple GFA hopper. So, I don't know how I'm gonna split up those episodes, but just know that those are coming down the pike. So, as always guys, take care of yourselves, be well, and I'll see you on the next one.